Okay, hi guys. I'm here to teach you how to play Magic the Gathering and help you understand how to play more better and give you a glimpse of like how to get into Magic the Gathering Commander format, what you should know, what you should not know. So in this guide, I'm gonna do a break few episodes here and there, and just kind of give you like a rough idea of what you should do. So in this episode, we're just gonna talk about Commander, and I'm gonna talk about my Commander Clive as well, and show you my game plan and how to get into this format, Commander, and um, and teach you a few things that I wish I understood more sooner than later. So let's say, for the sake of this, you never touched Magic the Gathering before. My recommendation as a beginner is touch with Magic the Gathering Arena first. This is a great way to get into the game. I'll put it down in the description if you want to get into it. So essentially, it will teach you the basics of how to play the game and how to understand the game as well, more or less better. But in this video, we're going to touch the Commander format and just talk about it and explain you the things that you should be expecting. It's not really a beginner guide how to play Commander. It's, that would determine on your knowledge on it. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to give you a rundown, building your first Commander, and why my recommendation will be this Commander to begin with. So let's start with this. So we're going to be teaching you how to start playing Clive, and I recommend Clive because it's the most cheapest way to build him and the most fun in my opinion, and probably the easiest one to build as well. This deck is optimized, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to give you a rundown of like how you could build Clive in a very cheap manner, and how it works and operates, and why he can be a very strong commander. So Clive is a mono red. So we quickly go run down real quickly what commander format is before we get into Clive. So commander format is a 100 card deck with a singular card copy of the card itself. You cannot have multiple copies of the same card. Exception is basic lands. If the land doesn't have the word basic, you cannot have another land that's unique. For example, this land here is not basic, so I cannot have multiple copies of this land. However, if the land is basic, which you can see here says basic land here, that basically saying that you can have as many copies as you want as long as it has the word basic. Those are called subtypes. Anyway, and so it's a singular card. You have a commander in the command zone, which could be your commander, and then you make 99 cards. So together in total is 100 cards. Exception is command zone and 99 cards. Okay, simple as that. Then you have something called devotion, and color identity of your commander. Color identity in top right corner will determine on your commander colors that you're playing. So in this case, we're playing Clive, and he's a mono red. So that basically means that if my commander is red, I can only play red cards in this deck. Simple as that. And so, if your commander has multiple different colors, then you can play multiple other colors in the deck. I cannot put in white, blue, green colors in this deck because my commander color identity is red. When you put your commander, everyone can see what you're playing as well. This is public information, and this is gonna be in the command zone. You can put your commander anywhere. I personally like to put it over here like this as a command zone because it's public information and it looks cooler that way. Up to you. Now let's get to Commander itself and why I recommend Clive as a beginner and getting you into it. So if you want to get into Commander and you haven't decided what to build, how to start, and you want to build your own first Commander as well, and you want to start somewhere a bit more advanced by learning the game, maybe this might be the Commander for you because it's simple, it's easy, and it's budget friendly. Clive. Clive is a Final Fantasy card. And he's a legendary creature, which can be in your command zone. And he reads, when this card enters, you may discard your hand, then draw cards equal to your devotion to red. And you also have a double-sided flip, which you can pay 6 mana, to exile Clive, then return it back to the battlefield transformed under zone of control. Activate at sorcery speed. So it's double-sided of this card here. So you got two effects in one. So we're going to start with the top part of the effect. What is devotion? So what devotion is on the top right corner of your card, mana cost will determine on your devotion. So it's saying here, devotion to red. Those red mana on top right corner are based on devotion to red. Your lands are not devotion to red. They need to have a mana value, is what we call converted mana value of the card. So my commander has 2 red mana. So to counterward devotion, you need creatures, artifacts, or enchantments that has devotion to red in mana top. So for example, those are creatures here have top right corner of devotion. So this has 2 red, this has 1 red. You have those on the field, and let's do also, just give you an example. Let's do this enchantment. It's not a creature, but it just gives you a glimpse. You got Razorkin, has 2 red mana. You got Cursed Mirror, that's an artifact. And then you got Sunset Striker. Okay. And so what happens next is, let's say we have all those cards on the battlefield and my commander is still in command zone. So what then we do is, once we get all those cards online, we then want to play a commander. What then will happen is commander will do the enter the battlefield effect. We call this ETB, and basically what it means is that when you play a card that says enter the battlefield effect, we would call this ETB. So when you play the card, we usually just say, hey, I'm playing my commander, has an ETB effect. Any response? You're going to be seeing a lot of people say that word all the time. Any response. But for now, we're going to touch that later in the video. So for now, we're going to focus on Clive, what it does. Clive does the enter the battlefield effect. He reads, when this card enters, you may discard your hand, then draw cards equal to the red devotion. So let's say we have 2 cards in hand. We will discard those cards in our graveyard. So we're going to put some graveyard. And then we draw equal mana to devotion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 devotion. So we're going to draw 10 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And that's the deck. So why do I recommend Clive and what makes him special and fun to play? Who doesn't like drawing cards, and who doesn't like to do some really wacky interaction? So the way you can work with Clive is you can synergize him with a lot of things. There'll be a lot of ways you can play around him, and there's a lot of ways to do the effects as well. And so the way I build Clive is by making them clones of him, discarding them, and killing one of my favorite cards. With devotions is one of my favorite mechanics. And so my way of ending the game is playing cards like Frantic of Morgus. So same as before, the devotion is going to be this creature here. And he says here, when this card enters the battlefield, deals damage to each opponent equal to the devotion. So when this card comes in, it will count every creature with a red devotion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It will do 11 damage to each opponent. So now that's done. Now, other ways I like to do is I would have cards like, just looking for it. It's like electronics. So this is a sorcery speed card. What sorcery basically means is that you get to play this card only in your turn and only at sorcery speed. So basically, what sorcery means is a little bit complicated to explain because Magic the Gathering Arena doesn't really tell you how it works very well, because it's more better if I show you and say to you visually. So imagine, okay, here's what's gonna happen. So sorcery, what it basically means is you can only cast it on your turn and nothing on the stack. What stack means, it basically means any effects that's doing something or someone casting something at instant speed. You have to pass the priority around the table in order for the effect to resolve, in order for you to play the card. Example, when Clive enters the battlefield, there will be that ETB effect. You can also call that effect ETB trigger effect. Triggered effect, it basically means a card is going to do something, but before anyone gets to do anything on a table, like playing creatures, playing sorcery speed, playing lands, you have to let the spell resolve first. So Clive comes in, this will be the ETB effect. Before we get to do anything, this ETB effect of the Clive will have to resolve first before we get to do anything else. There is an exception, and that is if you have an instant spell. So, if you have an instant spell, for example, we'll do Chaos Orb. If the keyword has a subtype says instant, you can respond to Clive trigger. So before Clive even resolves, you have to ask any response. So I'll do it once more, just so you understand. Clive comes in, ETB trigger. We go around the table that will determine on the turn order. Everybody gets to say something, like think of it like holding a teddy bear and pass it to the next player, and they get to do anything in response to this effect. So I'll pass it to the next player, and I will ask them, would you like to do something before this resolves? He will say, no. Pass it to the next player, would you like to do something before this resolves? And they say, yes, I'm going to pay the mana, and I'm going to cast an instant spell. And before now, there's a new trigger on the stack. This will go on top of Clive before Clive resolves. Then it will go around the table again. Would you like to do something before this Chaos Orb resolves? Until everybody is okay with it and resolves, Chaos Orb will do the effect. Then we got Clive again. We'll go again once more. Any response to the Clive trigger. If no response, Clive will immediately do the effect. So, what we then do is we'll discard our card in hand. Ba 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 ba. So this is our hand. We discard his hand. And then we will draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We draw 11 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we draw 11 cards. Great. And then what we do is we will draw cards, and then my game plan is to cast the spell, sorcery. So now that there's no stack, and I can do what I want, and that's been resolved, I can now do something on my turn. So I'm going to pay 3 mana to play this sorcery speed. And it says, create a token that's a copy of a target creature you control, except it has haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. So basically, I would get to copy something and then make another effect of the card. And this says here, target creature. So, another thing you should know. Whenever you cast a spell and it has a keyword target, you have to choose a target first before you let the spell resolve. So this card, I'll read it again. Create as a copy of a target creature you control. So before we do anything further, we cast the spell. It says the keyword target. We have to target something before the spells goes on the stack. I'm going to choose Modric of Mogus, this card here. So I'm telling everybody, I would like to make a copy of this creature. Does anybody have a response? And we go again around the table. Any response? No response? Great. Spell resolves. Makes another copy of it. So now there's 2 copies of this card. So I like to do it like this, just because it's easy to keep a track of. And now it will do the enter the battlefield effect. Because the copy of the card still counts as entering, it will do the effect. And here's the neat part and the fun part that you might not know. Whenever you copy a card on the field, whatever is on the card of itself will count towards the devotion as well. So it will actually also have devotion. So if the card you're copying is the original copy of the card and it has a devotion of a red, it will also count towards itself. So what happens then? It will do the ETB effect. Card will come in, have a copy itself, then do the devotion again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to deal 12 damage to everybody. So remember how we just 11 damage and now we do 12 damage. So that's total of around 23 damage in total, all by just doing as simple as playing the cards without doing much. Sure, there's different effects of the cards, do different things, but this is just a game plan and simplify how to play the deck. The cool thing about this Clive deck is that you don't need to think very hard how to play this commander. You just want to play certain effects on the field, get the devotion up, get your commander, and try to get this Fantric mob by keep drawing cards. What's really cool is that let's say you don't have this creature in your field and you want to copy something else, you can copy Clive. However, there is an exception. Because Clive is a legendary creature, you can only get to keep one of those copies. So, let's say we do Clive. Everyone says no response. You get 2 Clive on the field. Before Clive gets to do the effect, you have to choose which legendary creature Clive you want to put in. So we're going to say, okay, I'm going to get rid of Clive copy. So it's gone. However, there's an exception. Clive hasn't entered the battlefield effect, so that will still happen, regardless if Clive is on the field or not. As soon as the card reads enter the battlefield and it comes on the field, if you were to be killed, that enter the battlefield effect will still happen. So, what it would look like, it was this. I choose the legendary creature to keep. I'll keep the original, this will go away. Then there will be a triggered on the stack, so we'll say this is triggered ability, Clive ability, and then we do this is a trigger ability. So I'm saying, okay, everybody, I have a triggered ability of Clive. Any response before this ability resolves. You go around the table, and then once nobody says no, this will resolve. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We discard our cards from our hand and we draw 10 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. That's simple. And you can build Clive very budget friendly, but learning how to play him is a little bit more like the all other cards effects. So I recommend playing Clive. It's more budget friendly, easy to get into, and just kind of like learn how to play the game better. So this is how you play Clive. I hope this video will help you get an idea where to start with Clive, kind of get into Commander, how to get into play this deck, and it gives you a goal in mind. So hopefully this mechanic will be your favorite, and just as much as it's mine. Devotion is my favorite. I love Devotion. It's what got me into Commander, Magic the Gathering, like mechanically. And it was around the era of the time when Devotion was uh, quite popular back then. Still is to this day, but this is the returning mechanic. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Any questions, feel free to ask. And I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Next episode, we're probably gonna be touching on how to find decks online to build. Things that, you know, where do you start building, how do you start building, and stuff like this. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.